Humanity sets the agenda.
Okay, it is 9:37 and we are now joined by Zaakirah Vadi. She's with the Ahmed Kathrada Foundation and there's a big week ahead. In fact, starting today, we are looking at the Defend Our Democracy campaign and they are launching Anti-Corruption Week. So, Assalamu alaikum to you, Zaakirah. Welcome to the show. And what exactly is the purpose of having Anti-Corruption Week? I do know that you have some very big names involved here. And what are we hoping to achieve by having this week?
Zaakirah, for having me on your show. So,
Always a pleasure.
Anti-Corruption Week will run from the 3rd to the 10th of December. And at its heart, it's really about creating public awareness about the issue of corruption and sort of encouraging the public to make their voices heard on the issue of corruption. I think that at this point in time in South Africa, we all know that corruption is a big issue, but do we really understand how it affects us at the community level? Do we understand our local budgets? Do we know how to hold our councillors accountable for the work that they're doing? And those are questions that we hope to raise during this week. So we want people to learn about corruption and teach others about it. We want people to report corruption, and there are details that we can make available with regards to how to go about it. And lastly, we want visible public action against corruption. So act against corruption, speak it against it, make sure that your voice of the issue is heard loud and clear.
So, Zaakirah, this is happening in December. Am I correct? You're launching it now, but the actual event and the speakers will obviously be. This will happen in December. I'm just a little confused there. I know that the kickoff is today from 2 o'clock to 6 o'clock. It's happening at Constitutional Hill in the Human Rights Room. What exactly happens today and what's being rolled out in December?
Today is the launch of the concept of Anti-Corruption Week. And the reason why it takes place now is that we want people to, from now leading up to December 3rd, plan their own initiatives in relation to Anti-Corruption Week. So say you want your local organization, women's group, youth group, etc., wants to, for example, host a ticket or webinar against corruption. We have this time period leading to December 3rd to plan it. And then from the 3rd to December, host the actual event. And, it's very much like Israeli Apartheid Week or Anti-Racism Week, where you have different activations around the country that are actually self-initiated. So as an ordinary resident, you can host something. As a household, you can decide to host something as a family. And that's how you get involved, and it builds itself towards a national diary of events that will be taking place.
Okay, so all of those heavyweight speakers, those big name speakers, alhamdulillah, they will be there today at 2 o'clock at Constitutional Hill. Tell us who they are, please.
So we have several struggle veterans. There's Cheryl Carolus, Reverend Frank Chikane, several others that will be in the audience as well. And these are people who got together with civil society organizations and formed the Defend Our Democracy campaign earlier this year. I think there was a huge concern around issues of destabilization linked to issues of corruption and capture, and they felt that there's a need to do that. So there will be several struggles forward. There will be civil society representatives, people like Wayne Duvenage from Outa, Nabila Khan from the Ahmed Kathrada Foundation, people from Right to Know, and a range of other civil society organizations. And then we have sectoral representatives, so people from the religious sector, people from the labor sector. There's someone from the SACP, currently in NEC, Jacob Mamabolo, that will be attending and speaking as well. And they will give input about these specific sectors. I'd like to highlight two speakers. One is Mark Haywood from Citizen Maverick, who's the editor, and they've done extensive work around health corruption during the PPE period, with an inflation on PPE material. And we know some of the issues and scandals that Citizen Maverick then exposed. And the second person is Noto Madisa. He's from a community organization in Limpopo province, where the community for the last 30 years hasn't had access to running water. despite there being a reservoir in a dam just a few minutes away from the community itself. But people buy water from private businesses that are selling
Mm.
water. So I think those are some of the issues that will be raised at today's press briefing. But it's largely a call to the public to support the week itself. And the information on our website gives a good indication of how exactly you can get involved. And I can share those details.
Please do.
So it's www.defenddemocracy.co.za. That's the website. You can also find us on Twitter. It's for Democracy SA. And if you just Google a little bit about the campaign itself, you'll be able to get quite a bit of information, on how to get involved. There's poster material. There's all sorts of things that you can consider doing creatively. And I mean, when people talk about corruption, a lot of the time we're looking, for example, at organizing a march to the union buildings on the 1st of December. People always think, it's really hardcore work, but there's a lot that you can do. You can do art against corruption to make your voice heard. If you are part of a soccer club, you can dedicate a match to Anti-Corruption Week. And all of this, I think, is a build-up to December 9th, which is International Anti-Corruption Day. And this day is marked globally, different parts of the world, people do different activations. And here in South Africa, we want to pioneer the concept of the week leading up to the 9th itself.
And undoubtedly, people, here I'm sitting thinking, what difference is my tiny little voice going to make? But it's all those tiny little voices collectively that can make a difference. That being said, also, Zaakirah, how is this different to whistleblowing? Because we know there's a huge cry in South Africa that whistleblowers are not protected. We just need to look at Babita Deokaran's situation. She was killed because she blew the whistle. So how do we almost reassure the general public and that small little voice out there regarding speaking out against corruption that
No,
it's okay, we've got your back, you're going to be safe?
when it comes to whistleblowing, I think you need to have the courage of your convictions. And Babita Deokaran knew that. She knew the risks that were involved. I think from her communications previously with the Zaakirah Foundation. And as a public servant, you need to understand that you need to always hold the moral high ground. But whistleblowing is not only for people who are working in departments. It's so easy when you're driving on the road and you stop by a police officer because you were maybe speeding, or maybe they just stopped you for no reason and they ask for a bribe. It's very easy to do that, to pay the bribe and then to criticize government or government officials for involving themselves in corruption. So I think internally people themselves need to look at the small acts of corruption that lends itself towards the bigger issue in the country as well. But at the same time, I think that there needs to be broader public support for whistleblowers. I mean, there are so many stories of whistleblowers who have been socially isolated, don't have community-based support, but people who are deeply implicated in corruption, that attend our mosques, that attend temples, that attend churches, and are practically lauded in these places because they're rich, they're wealthy, they have a particular persona. So I think internally, community-wise, we need to introspect about our own values as well.
Absolutely, I can't agree with you more. We rub shoulders with those very people all of the time and don't do a thing about it, don't raise our voices against what they stand for, deeply seated corruption. Who should be attending this event today? Is it an invitations only event to the media? Or can the general public, kind of pitch up and also get to hear what it's all about?
It is primarily for the media. It is a media briefing. At the same time, if there are members of the public who are interested, please do let me know. I'd be able to just share an email address maybe or contact details at the end of the show so people know where to RSVP. But at the same time, there is a YouTube link. If you check our YouTube channel, it's Defend Our Democracy on YouTube. We should go live at 2. So if you are at home and you are interested, you can log online as well.
Oh, that's wonderful, because I'm sure the general public would like to hear these, struggle heroes talking, and, very especially since we've just come out of local elections, very especially since we've just come out of the insurrection in July this year. We know people are worried. People are not comfortable. People are worried about the future of the country. And all of this goes directly deep into the whole issue on corruption, greed and corruption. So, yeah, I urge the general public to visit the Ahmed Kathrada website, which is info@kathradafoundation.org. I hope I'm correct here, Zaakirah, and try and find that link and sign up to the obviously the campaign today. Anything else you'd like to share with us before we leave you today, Zaakirah?
I think it's just to share that corruption affects you directly. So if you look at the load shedding, which we all complain about, what were the issues in the last 10 years at ESCOM, or was in that particular sector that resulted in what we're facing today? So what's the issues of corruption? We know that there were coal deals, for example, with the Guptas that were highly suspicious that took place at a particular point in time. There have been other reports of, expenditure that's just been outrageous. And look at the impact today on ordinary citizens. And I think the same applies for PRASA, for example. Our rail systems are completely decimated, and for people using the rail systems, or railway transport in the country, passenger rail particularly, there's now to find other means of transport. So I think that's the direct impact that people face on a day-to-day basis. And we can't allow this to continue on an ongoing basis without raising our voice against it. It can't be business as usual.
Absolutely, couldn't agree with you more. Every little voice and every little bit of pushback does make a difference. So collectively, good people, let's make our voices heard regarding anti-corruption. Zaakirah Vadi, Jazakallah so much for your time and the amazing work being done at the Ahmed Kathrada Foundation. Assalamu alaikum to you.
Walaikum salam.
It is exactly 9:49. When we get back, we are going to be talking about another very important issue, and that is day zero to no water in Nelson Mandela Bay.
Shimmer, sparkle, captivate.